Howdy, Oslos! Back at it again with another video. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Welcome, welcome. Today we have some breaking news, and that breaking news is the fact that another person has entered the 2020 election race on the Democratic side. Yes, an already crowded field. Another person still decides to throw their hat in the ring, and right at the last moment too, because I believe today or yesterday night was the last opportunity to file for presidency and appear on the ballot in the Alabama primaries. So unless another candidate wants to already give up Alabama, I think Michael Bloomberg, which is obviously the person we're talking about here, is going to be the last big surprise of this race. So I think this actually kind of rules out Hillary Clinton running, which was widely speculated. I don't expect her to run, especially after one of the states she won't even appear on the ballot, basically. So, right, Michael Bloomberg, 3-term mayor of New York, my state, by the way, well-known philanthropist. All sources point to the fact that he is going to run in 2020 on the Democratic side. So if we head into this article right here, I could have actually reported on this last night, but I wanted to wait until the morning to see if any more information appeared, and it seems as though there has been. So we have this article by Axios.com, and the headline says, "Exclusive, Mike Bloomberg will spend whatever it takes in 2020." So that's going to be fun. We have Steyer 2.0, aka Tom Steyer, the guy who spent like almost $50 million in ad spending, a lot more than any other candidate. And yeah, Mike Bloomberg, he's going to pretty much do the same thing, to spend tens and tens of millions of his own money to buy all the ads in the world. All the TV ads, all the internet ads, all the Facebook ads, all the Twitter ads, although Twitter ads won't be a thing anymore soon, according to Twitter CEO. But anyways, we have this first paragraph here. Mike Bloomberg is jumping into the Democratic presidential race because he believes that Joe Biden's fading, opening the moderate lane next to Elizabeth Warren. Sources close to the former New York mayor tell Axios. So thank you, Axios, for breaking this news. Source says, Mike will spend whatever it takes to defeat Donald Trump. The nation is about to see a very different campaign than we've ever seen before. I feel like he's about to make Tom Steyer's almost $50 million ad spending look like a joke, especially because Tom Steyer is only like worth a couple billion, and yeah, Bloomberg, he's probably, he's hinted at running in the past, so he's probably considered how much he's going to drop in the race, and this might be the one time that he actually runs, because he's like 76, 77, so I don't think he will run again in 2024. So he might just go all the way. He's just going to put everything on the table if and when he does announce his candidacy. I think he's just going to drop bombs in terms of money. So it continues saying, I'm told there's no way he'll later run as a third party or independent candidate, partly because of ballot access hurdles. Okay, so at least he won't split the Dem vote. He will stay Democrat, even if he does not become a nominee. So I respect that, at least. So Bloomberg, yeah, 52 billion net worth, will self-fund, allowing him to run an essentially national campaign at a time when the rest of the field is raising money and focusing on early states. Bloomberg, who will make a final decision soon, isn't expected to seek or accept campaign contributions, according to a second source. So that's Bloomberg. I guess he doesn't expect to or even care about making the Democratic debates, because you need a lot of donors. Like, what is it for December? You need like 300,000 donors or something to actually qualify or be invited to the Democratic debates. So I guess he's completely taking that out of the picture, and it only troubles me thinking about how much he'll spend in ads to make up for not appearing at the debates. That's going to be interesting. And the fact he won't be accepting campaign contributions, that's a red flag. He's about to burn through cash. Well, for us it'll be burning through cash, but for him he probably won't even notice that much leaving his bank account. So the article continues saying Bloomberg had been focused on how he could best influence 2020 from the outside. And then, okay, so this is basically saying he has no faith in the Democratic field and that he thinks Trump is probably going to win with the current Democratic field, which I disagree with, obviously, because Andrew Yang is in the race. And even Bernie, I see, could beat Trump, to be honest. Bloomberg sees himself as an anti-Trump, practical and pragmatic, self-made business leader committed to issues such as climate and guns, and someone who recognizes the value of multilateralism and coalitions over isolation. A lot of buzzwords. Basically, it looks like he's going to be ramping himself up as an alternative old person choice as a moderate. So if he enters, I'm guessing he's going to go right. He's going to be attacking Biden directly, and probably he could take. I mean, if you're Joe Biden, you're probably very worried, because you thought you'd be the only old white center political guy, and now Bloomberg is entering, and people actually like Bloomberg, unlike Tom Steyer. So, I mean, Tom Steyer's done, right? Like, Tom Steyer had the whole "I'm the only billionaire and I can fund everything" type of image, and now Bloomberg is like, "I'm also a billionaire, and I'm like 10 times more of a billionaire than you'll ever be, and I'm also a centrist, or leaning in the center, or moderate, excuse me. I was looking for that word." So, yeah, of course, this whole thing came from the fact that he registered for the Alabama primaries right at the deadline, and like I said, that probably rules out a Hillary Clinton run, since Alabama's already up and out. And then, yeah, this last line here, I like it. Biden is sucking wind on money, and now Bloomberg is moving to his lane with unlimited cash. That was my dog. Excuse me. All right, so let's see what Andrew Yang, our boy Andrew Yang, has to say about this. We have this tweet by @CNN Politics, and they say, Andrew Yang reacts to Michael Bloomberg's potential run for 2020 bid. I'm friendly with Mike, but I will say it's going to be very, very difficult for him to jump in right now. I think he's going to have his work cut out for him. So let's play this little interview segment here.
If I can get your reaction to this really big news, which is that Michael Bloomberg and his $50 billion filing paperwork to enter the presidential race. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm friendly with Mike, and he's a great philanthropist, was a really stellar mayor. But I will say it's going to be very, very difficult for him to jump in right now and somehow replace the thousands of conversations that many of the candidates have had with voters in New Hampshire and Iowa and around the country with ad buys. There are limits to what money can do. We're seeing some of the limits of what money can do with other candidates. And so I think he's going to have his work cut out for him if he jumps in.
What do you think it changes in the Democratic race?
Well, it's probably going to change the price of advertising.
If I can get...
Classic Yang with the jokes. Yang with the jokes. All right, so that's about the response I would have. Like Andrew Yang said, we see he didn't name drop Tom Steyer, but everyone knows he was talking about Tom Steyer, aka the guy who spent almost $50 million on ad spending by himself with his own money. Yeah, money can only take you so far, and Michael Bloomberg is entering the race at a very late time. And we have this tweet by Andrew Yang that followed directly after that aired. And he said, Mike Bloomberg is an extraordinary leader and was a stellar mayor. He has done a lot for the country, but I think it will be tough to replace hundreds or thousands of conversations with ad buys. Money has its limits, and you can't buy passion. And that's just the truth. But we already know Bloomberg is going to try to spend all the money he has. Like I said, he's probably thought a lot about this. And yeah, I mean, this is going to shake up the race. Not as much as it would shake up if Hillary Clinton were to enter the race. I guess not as much. Yeah, I don't think so. But I think it will shake it up a bit, especially in terms of stealing support from Biden and Warren. And speaking of stealing support, let's actually check the Real Clear Politics page right now. So our boy Andrew Yang has dropped to 9. Unfortunately, has dropped to 9th on the RCP polling average. But of course, this is right before his $1 million ad buy spending. I do not expect Yang to still be in 9th place by the end of November. In fact, I think he will be surprising us, especially, like I said, with the amount of ad spending he's done. $1 million in Iowa. Literally no candidate, not even Tom Steyer, has spent $1 million in TV ads in Iowa in 1 week. Like that's really bold to spend $1 million in Iowa in a week. Like Tom Steyer hasn't done that. That's just like, and that guy spends money like crazy. So that just shows how serious Yang is of becoming a contender very, very quickly. So yeah. And just the fact that Yang got this far, literally spending $0 on TV ads and only starting to spend money on internet ads just last week, that is crazy. So I'm just visualizing, trying to visualize, even though we have no data, Bloomberg entering the race. I think he immediately attacks Biden and people start seeing Bloomberg as the Biden alternative. Of course, depending on Bloomberg's policy pages, what he stands for exactly, how he'll be presenting himself and appealing to the voters, of course. I feel like Warren goes under 20. I feel like the Sanders supporters will be pretty strongly loyal to Sanders, especially considering the fact that Sanders has kind of like pushed like over and over again like the fact that billionaires are bad. So I don't really see too much Sanders supporters going over to a billionaire. Of course, this entirely depends on what Bloomberg's policies will be. Maybe I think he's actually against the wealth tax, so I think he has the most to take from Biden, and I think Yang has the least to lose, because Yang supporters, I think there's been a fair number of polls that have shown, I can't remember any quite right now, but there has been a fair number of polls that show Yang supporters are the most loyal to Yang compared to other supporters, or in comparison to other supporters being loyal to their preferred candidate. So yeah, the Yang gang is strong and loyal, and honestly, if I just know this this billionaire Bloomberg guy is gonna spend so much money. So assuming he spent a crazy amount, I think he will cripple Biden. Maybe not as much as I'm thinking he will, but I don't think Biden's gonna hold that 8-point lead for much longer. That's all I'm gonna say. I think Warren will be under 20. I think Sanders at the most could drop down to the lower, I'm not gonna say lower 10s. Maybe like he could lose like 2% maybe. Dang, it's so early to make predictions. But this is really gonna depend on how Bloomberg presents himself and what his ads, his TV ads, focus on specifically. I think the only way that Bloomberg hurts Yang is if he focuses heavily on automation, or if he focuses on the universal basic income, which I don't think he will, although he has talked about automation in the past. But I believe he wants to in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he wants to combat automation with a federal jobs guarantee. So he might be for federal jobs guarantee for all we know. So actually he could take away from Sanders supporters, now that I think about it. Like I said, super early, just spitballing here, kind of just taking shots in the dark. But I think, like I said, I'm going to stand my ground and say that Biden has the most to lose and Yang has the least to lose. And it'll just shake up everyone else in the middle. And of course, depending on just how much Bloomberg's presence, not just his presence, but his inorganic presence, since he's going to be self-funding entirely apparently, just how much of a splash it'll make. And see how far the power of money can go. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me. I've been Detective Lewis. If you're watching this in a day, I hope you have a good day. And if you're watching this tonight, I hope you have a good night. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see y'all later. Peace.